What is up, guys? It's me, the Elite Double X Prince, here with Taker Week 2, Day 2. Yes. Now if you watched the previous one, you should know that I said that next time I'll be talking about Taker Week, it will be about some of his greatest rivals. And as I was doing that, I realized that all of his greatest rivals involved the streak. It really did. Now there's some exceptions: Bret Hart, Mick Foley, freaking Steve Austin. He had some pretty good feuds outside of the streak, but for the most part, all of his iconic feuds had to do with the streak. So might as well just talk about the streak every single match. I decided to just discuss every match as well as talk about what I would have done instead. Because some of these were fucking garbage. They really were garbage. And yeah, some of his earlier matches in the Undertaker's career were pretty lame, to say the least. Everybody has admitted to this. Everybody will tell you that Undertaker back in the day was horrible. And they're right to an extent, I would say. So here is my list of the best and worst of The Undertaker. So here we go. So we kick off WrestleMania 7, where the streak is born. Yeah, and just for the record, I'll be talking about every single WrestleMania match, not just the streak, but post-streak and everything. Every other match he had at WrestleMania. So there's that. Undertaker faces Jimmy Snuka in a quick squash match. It knew what it had to do, it knew what it was doing. I enjoyed it for the most part. It was a solid match. I didn't hate it. So, yeah, I really can't complain about Jimmy Snuka getting squashed, especially now knowing that Jimmy Snuka is a little cuckoo. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else. There was talks that they could have done Undertaker and Andre the Giant. I don't think Undertaker was ready at the time, and plus Andre retired. I'm cool with what they did with Jimmy Snuka, just squash him. Just give him a quick match just to give him a little bit of taste into the WrestleMania platform. Next up was WrestleMania 7. No, not WrestleMania 7. WrestleMania 8, my apologies. WrestleMania 8, he faces Jake the Snake Roberts. Another faster match, is better wrestling-wise. This match is more famous for the tombstone to the outside, which I think was good. I really was digging Macho Man and Jake the Snake Roberts. If anything, I would have made it like a no disqualification match. Macho Man versus Jake Roberts. That would have been a cool thing to do. But the question is what we would do with The Undertaker. We couldn't have him fight Hogan, otherwise Hogan would have won, which would have definitely killed this thing. This video would not exist if he fought Hogan, which would have fucking sucked. Maybe Sycho Sid and then Hogan faces Flair. That probably would have been the best thing to do. Personally, yeah, I'm cool with Jake the Snake Roberts. It's the best that they could have done, and I don't hate the match. It's actually one of my favorite early Taker matches. Let's get that straight, because the rest of his matches are like classics afterwards. One match that is not a classic for sure is his match against Giant Gonzalez. People say that this is the worst Undertaker match, not the worst Undertaker WrestleMania match, but the worst Undertaker match, because it ended in disqualification. And let me just say something: disqualifications are no good when it's something like this, especially because you could say that Giant Gonzalez technically won, you could say that the Undertaker technically won, and it's a little all over the place. So really, this was just pointless. Giant Gonzalez, what the hell were they thinking? How did they think this was a good idea? A big Latino. I know they have a thing for like Latino wrestlers, which I appreciate a lot, but if they suck, they suck. It's just the honest truth. I mean, if it were up to me, I would have given Razor Ramon. Ramon could have been a decent opponent to have for Undertaker. Again, it didn't have to be a big match. It could have just been a quick squash, because I look at the card and Razor Ramon, he went from number one contender for the WWE Championship to Bob Backlund, who I like, but let's be honest, Bob Backlund was kind of lame around this time. WrestleMania 9 in general was lame. So yeah, I would have done. I did a whole rebooking of WrestleMania 9, but yeah, I would have done Undertaker and Razor Ramon. If Ric Flair stuck around, maybe I would have done Ric Flair and The Undertaker, but that's a little bit pushing it. I think I was okay with Undertaker having a smaller opponent, but definitely no Giant Gonzalez. This guy was sick. I mean, not sick, but this guy was awful. Like, this guy made me sick, if that makes sense. WrestleMania 11. He takes a break WrestleMania 10, so WrestleMania 11, this is where he comes back. He faces King Kong Bundy in the worst match of the show. Really boring. King Kong Bundy overstated his welcome around this time. He should have just retired somewhere in the 80s. This is the new generation era. I would have gotten rid of King Kong Bundy. This is technically, I believe, this is King Kong Bundy's last match, at least in the WWF, I believe. I don't think he did anything. Personally, I would have done Bam Bam Bigelow and The Undertaker. That's been always a dream match of mine. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm old school for big dudes that can move. That's why I'm a big fan of Brody Lee and Lance Archer right now. But Undertaker and Bam Bam Bigelow, we could have Lawrence Taylor as a host or something. Yeah. But yeah, because King Kong Bundy was lame, he was boring, he was just pathetic. I just didn't like this guy. He was just sloppy. I know rest in peace to the guy, but come on, this guy was no good, especially for the new generation era. This was just, I didn't like it. WrestleMania 12, he faces Diesel in probably his most competitive match. Really, there was nothing left for Diesel, so I guess they should have just put Taker with Diesel. Really, because Shawn Michaels was facing Bret Hart, and I mean, this is the best thing they could have done. And honestly, this is one of the best Undertaker matches at this far. WrestleMania 12 is incredibly underrated. People just look back at Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. If you look at the entire show, it actually was pretty good. We had Steve Austin versus Savio Vega in a decent match. We had Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Yokozuna versus Ahmed Johnson, and a couple other guys. I forgot who else was in the team, but this was a fun show. Who could forget Piper Goldust and a Hollywood Backlot Brawl? And Undertaker Diesel was the runner-up for best match. This was a really good show. Like, don't just focus on Michaels and Bret Hart and the Iron Man match. Some people don't even like that match, but if you actually look at WrestleMania 12 in general, it's a good show. Very underrated WrestleMania, and yeah, I would say Taker and Diesel was the best match to go for. WrestleMania 13, this is the one famous for Undertaker capturing his second WWF Championship. He faces Sycho Sid, who at this point I never liked Sycho Sid. I'm just being honest. Even in WCW, he was lame. I think he was a solid WCW champion. He was a shitty WWF champion. He was just the worst of the worst. If it were up to me, and I've even mentioned this in previous videos, I would have done Undertaker versus Vader for the WWF Championship. I would have done Bret Hart win the Fatal 4-Way. Vader comes and challenges him, takes the belt off of him. We do Austin and Stone Cold, Undertaker and Vader. If we did Undertaker and Vader in the main event of WrestleMania 13, I guarantee you WrestleMania 13 will not get such a bad rep as it does today. Because I look at the card and yeah, this is an awful WrestleMania. This is definitely one of the weakest WrestleMania. But if we put Taker Vader, we had Austin Stone Cold, and we had the Chicago Street Fight between the Nation of Domination, Legion of Doom, and Ahmed Johnson. This is a solid card now. Now we're looking at one of the decent WrestleManias out there at best. But yeah, Sycho Sid, no, I didn't like this guy. I definitely think it was, some people say that Bret and Austin should have main evented. I was fine with it. I would have done, I really didn't care. Because at this point we weren't ready for Stone Cold to be in the main event. This is just a taste of what we did with him at WrestleMania 13. On to WrestleMania 14, and this is the one where I said to myself, Undertaker is a star. His feud with Kane was fantastic. This is how you build up a match. You basically take it from the very end, and then you just carry it on. This was just brilliant work. I like that these guys didn't touch each other. I mean, they didn't have a match until WrestleMania. So you think about it: October, November, December, January, February, March, and to an extent April. That's 7 months of build. That is brilliant work. I wish they did more stuff like this. Not just in WWE right now, but even in AEW, Impact. They're doing this with Impact, which is probably why it's the best working television show right now, technically. That's just an honest opinion. And that's no disrespect to AEW. They're doing good. So there's that. But yeah, Undertaker Kane, fantastic match. A lot of people say back in the day that they predicted Kane was gonna win. I didn't see it. I always saw Undertaker winning. Um, then again, I wasn't born yet, so who knows what my reaction would have been when I saw this match. WrestleMania 15. This is fucking horrible. The worst Hell in a Cell match of all time. Undertaker and Big Bossman. This is just a dud. People say that they would have done Shane McMahon. I said to myself I would do Shane McMahon and Undertaker inside the cell, just because eventually this would lead to the Dark Order, or not Dark Order, the Ministry of Darkness taking over the higher power and stuff like that. This could have been really cool if they did Shane and Taker. I even mentioned matches that should have happened at WrestleMania 15. I did Taker and Shane. Because Big Bossman, let's be honest, Big Bossman, good character, overrated wrestler. He really was. But he was a character, and he did his job, but that was great. Yeah, I would have done that. But then I thought about it. What if we did Undertaker, Kane, Hell in a Cell? Ooh, now we're talking. Honestly, scratch Shane and Taker. I would have done Taker, Kane, 2 inside Hell in a Cell this time. Now we are talking about one of the greatest. Because look, I'm looking at the card, and Kane did nothing. He fought Triple H, and he wins by DQ, which is lame. We still have the P. Rose incident, but yeah, I did not like Big Bossman and Taker. It was just a garbage match. The only thing that people remember is Big Bossman being hung at the end. Cool, I guess. WrestleMania 2000, he takes a break. He got injured in mid 1999, so he comes back as the American Badass, which was 50-50 with people. I thought he had a cool theme song, but other than that, he wasn't the best. Taker, I wasn't digging the American Badass that much. He wasn't awful, but I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was all that great. But WrestleMania 17, he comes back and faces Triple H. This was one of those things where you could tell they had nothing for these guys, so they just put them together and they just made gold. This one, I actually did believe Triple H could have won, because Triple H is popular for just burying talent and just winning when he's not supposed to. But Taker won, and which is great, which means that this really was the beginning of like people talking about the streak. So that was great. Maybe this is where they realized they were putting the streak together. So there's that, which I like. I mentioned that we could have done Austin and Triple. We should have done Austin and Triple H in the main event. Then we do The Rock in and Undertaker, because I'll be honest, Undertaker and The Rock, when Undertaker is the American Badass, they actually have better chemistry than they do when he's the Dead Man. They really do. Then again, the Dead Man was he was just kind of slow around 1999, 1998. 1998, he was great, but 1999, you could tell he was just slowing down, which is why he took some time off. I couldn't think of anybody else. I would say Kurt Angle, but then Chris Benoit would probably face The Rock in this scenario. I don't know what they would have done, or Chris Benoit versus Triple H, which eventually happens at 20. So I would say, yeah, fine, Triple H. I think, now, get me wrong, Triple H and Undertaker WrestleMania 17 is a fantastic match. I just didn't like the whole beating up the referee and making it a no DQ. That was the only thing I didn't like. But other than that, the match is fucking great. Really nothing to complain. Really. In WrestleMania 17, there's really nothing to complain. That show was fantastic. Best WrestleMania of all time. That's what I'm thinking about. WrestleMania 18, Icon versus Icon. Even though they didn't main event. Yeah. This show really was all about The Rock and Hulk Hogan. Austin had nothing. If anything, maybe they should have done Triple H and Steve Austin at this WrestleMania. This one would have made more sense. Chris Jericho could have fought The Undertaker, and then Ric Flair fights Vince McMahon. That would have been a much better card. Think about it. Undertaker and Chris Jericho, Ric Flair and Vince McMahon, The Rock and Hulk Hogan, Triple H and Austin for the WWF Championship. Now that is a card I want to see. Um, but I'm actually happy with the one we got with Ric Flair. I like the story of how Undertaker gets personal. He goes after Ric Flair's son. It's a cool story. Definitely one of the out of the best Undertaker WrestleMania matches. This is one of the weaker ones, if that makes sense. It's like it's up there as one of the best, but it's like really low in the best. That's my opinion. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Undertaker, Chris Jericho. I should definitely try to do another rebooking of WrestleMania 18. I wasn't a big fan of the one I did the first time. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, but Undertaker and Ric Flair, I enjoyed it. I think it was a great match. Good feud. Decent little feud, but Chris Jericho and Undertaker around this time could have been cool. Another time that Undertaker and Chris Jericho could have happened is WrestleMania 19, but based on how everything worked out, I know The Rock didn't want to face Shawn Michaels, so they had to do Shawn and Chris Jericho, Stone Cold and The Rock. Thankfully, they did not do Jonathan Coachman and Stone Cold. That would have been fucking stupid. Um, WrestleMania 19, yes, I've seen Diesel 101 Raw's channel. I think his rebooking of WrestleMania is probably the best rebooking I've ever seen out of any WrestleMania. This is the honest truth. Diesel 101 Raw, if you're watching this, WrestleMania 19, fantastic, brother. Fantastic. That is an incredible card. I would want to watch it. Now, as far as what I would do with Taker here, I would keep everything the same. But I would have A-Train and Nathan Jones fight, brawl in the back. That way we just do Undertaker and the Big Show. Because Undertaker and Big Show at WrestleMania just one-on-one, that's cool. Like two big men fighting. And like I said, I mentioned how I like to see big men just fighting, brawling. And it would have been a cool match. Undertaker and the Big Show, that's a good match. That alone in 2003, that would have been cool. Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody else Undertaker could have fought. Oh my god, if he fought Chris Benoit, that would have hurt in the long run, knowing what happens. Maybe RVD could have been another good opponent, but I actually would be cool with Big Show and Undertaker fighting at this WrestleMania. Remove A-Train, and you honestly, if you do Undertaker and Big Show, just that, and then you look at the rest of the card, this would honestly be my favorite WrestleMania. Yeah, it was just that one match that really screwed up with me, and the fact that the buy rate was pretty bad. That's really the only reason why I didn't think WrestleMania 19 was the best. WrestleMania 20. Now, a lot of people would consider that this was a disappointment, and I would have to agree. Undertaker and Kane, the real second time they fight at WrestleMania. Like I mentioned, they should have done it at 15 instead. Undertaker and Kane, I thought the feud was good. I thought it was pretty nice, and it was a good squash match, but based on the fact that Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were leaving at the exact same time and it was a dud of a match, why didn't they do Randy Orton and Mick Foley in a IC title hardcore match? We do Goldberg and The Rock with Stone Cold as the referee. That would have been pretty cool. That way The Rock could carry Goldberg into a good match if he tries to like fuck up on purpose. And then we do Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Now you're probably wondering, how will we get to Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker at this WrestleMania? Well, instead of doing Brock Lesnar, or instead of doing McMahon and Taker at Survivor Series, we do Lesnar and Taker at Survivor Series in a Buried Alive match. Brock Lesnar buries Taker. At No Way Out, you hear the gong of Taker. The lights go out. Brock is on the floor. Eddie Guerrero lies, cheats, and steals his way to becoming WWE champion. We do Eddie and Kurt Angle. Then we do Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. He sends Brock Lesnar out in a quick squash match. It would be a nice comeback for the Dead Man. That would have been fucking cool. And then we would have had a slightly better WrestleMania. We could have done The Rock and Goldberg, like I mentioned. Have The Rock put over. We could have The Rock beat Goldberg. And yeah, I think that speaks for itself. Because while I was excited for Brock and I'm gonna be honest, Brock and Goldberg WrestleMania 20, that was the best built match, but the match itself was disappointing. Knowing that they were both leaving, I think Vince dropped the ball and he could have moved around. Then again, you can't really predict that they weren't gonna re-sign, so there's that. So Undertaker and Kane, fine, but I didn't like it. I personally didn't like it. WrestleMania 21, Undertaker, Randy Orton, fantastic, perfect. Leave it like that. Really, that's the best thing they could have done around at this WrestleMania. WrestleMania 21 is very underrated. This was a great way to do it. Really, Taker and Randy Orton was probably the most exciting match of the entire card. Really, this is what I would have done. Taker and Orton. It's the only one I could think of. WrestleMania 22. If Eddie didn't die, I would have done Taker and Eddie. Kurt Angle, Undertaker and Kurt Angle. People have always said Undertaker and Kurt Angle should have fought at this WrestleMania, which is true. That should have happened, and I agree. And then I looked more into the card, and I said to myself, I don't hate Mark Henry and Undertaker. I don't think Mark Henry was ready. If this was 2011 Mark Henry, I would be all over this match. This was a solid little casket match. This is definitely the last bad Mark Henry match, but I really don't hate it. This is an honest opinion. I don't hate Undertaker and Mark Henry at WrestleMania 22. I don't think it should have happened. I think Mark Henry was too young to do this. Maybe they could have done Undertaker Booker T. They could have done Undertaker JBL. I don't know. I don't know. I think I was fine with this. I didn't hate it. I liked it. It was a little random because Mark Henry really was irrelevant around this time. This is the honest truth, and this is coming from a Mark Henry fan. Let's go with that. So yeah, there's that. WrestleMania 23. Oh, I remember this story. Let me tell you this story. So I wasn't a huge wrestling fan, but I knew who they were. Like every year, I would stay for WrestleMania just to watch what the Undertaker was gonna do. And I knew who John Cena was. I knew who Batista was, and to an extent, I knew who Bobby Lashley was. And I like that the whole him choke slamming all three of them, and then later he picks his opponent, and it ends up being Batista. I like Batista. I enjoy the work that Batista does. But me, as a nerd, I wanted to see John Cena and The Undertaker over Undertaker and Batista. I was so disappointed because at the time I knew that we were going to get John Cena and Triple H. Thankfully, we didn't get that. And we got Undertaker and Batista. And I enjoyed this match. This was a fantastic match. This was the match of the night. This was a great match. The problem is that it happened way too early in this show. It was the fourth match on the show. I would have done it a lot later. If anything, I would have done it the main event. I would have made, but Cena and Michaels as the main event, I was cool with it. But really, Undertaker and Batista should have main evented that show. There's that. This was perfect, but yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to see Taker and John Cena at this WrestleMania, and then I thought about it. The streak is around. Undertaker losing to John Cena, that could have happened, and it could have been big. Or we could have done Undertaker beating John Cena, but he would have to hold the spinner belt, and that's the only thing that I guarantee you, if the WWE Championship looked different, I guarantee you we probably would have gotten Cena and Taker. I think they did not want to give Undertaker the spinner belt. You know how lame that shit would have been? Undertaker with the spinner belt? Damn it, I hate that belt. WrestleMania 24, Undertaker versus Edge. This was the right one to go. The feud was great. This was really good. Like how the only time Edge and Undertaker had a one-on-one match was when Edge cashed in and he ends up stealing the belt back from Undertaker in a triple threat match with Batista. I think this was the right match to call. Was it the perfect main event? I guarantee you, if Edge main evented WrestleMania 22, this would not be the main event of this WrestleMania, personally. Yeah. Shawn and Ric Flair should have main evented WrestleMania. I'm gonna say something very unpopular, but I don't think that Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair should have main evented WrestleMania 24. And here's why. Ric Flair at this age, we didn't know what kind of match we were getting. If we knew for a fact that Ric Flair was gonna have a classic with Shawn Michaels, then yeah, this is the main event. But Vince McMahon was not gonna take that risk. Might as well put Undertaker and Edge in the main event, because Orton, Triple H, and John Cena in the main event would fucking kill the audience. No one would even sit through that show. They would just go home. Undertaker and Edge being the second best built match on the show, if not the best built match on the show, I would do that the main event. That's the honest truth. WrestleMania 25, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. This was brilliant. I would not touch it. This was just fantastic. My favorite match of all time. Without this, I would not be a wrestling fan, so keep that shit. WrestleMania 26, just the same way. Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, streak versus career, even though he came back for Crown Jewel. Ignore that. Another fantastic thing. On to WrestleMania 27. A lot of people hate this because it should have been Undertaker and Sting, and I agree. With that said, at the time, like I mentioned, I didn't follow TNA, I didn't follow WCW, I didn't follow ECW. Well, I did follow ECW, kind of. I followed WWE ECW, that makes sense. I was a young fan. I still wasn't sure about any of these stuff. And I was actually happy to see Triple H fight Undertaker. I was just disappointed they never mentioned WrestleMania 17. That match just kind of erased. That's the only problem I have with WrestleMania 17. One, the referee getting his ass kicked, and the idea that match kind of doesn't exist. It just gets ignored. Undertaker and Triple H in a no holds bar match, the match of the night. Honestly, by default, I was happy with this. It would have been great. And a lot of people complain that it should have been Sting, which is true. But then again, if you think about it, what the hell is Triple H going to do on this show? The only logical thing they could have done is do Edge and Triple H, which, I don't hate it. I don't love it. Yeah, that's the only thing I could have thought of, because Alberto Del Rio was not ready. Yeah, so Undertaker and Triple H, I'm happy with this one. The end of an era, match of the night of WrestleMania 24. Fantastic, I love it. I thought this was great. Special guest referee Shawn Michaels, Hell in a Cell, brilliant. I loved it. Keep that. Nothing I would have changed. Now, around this time, Undertaker was 20-0. I would have retired him right then and there, but he had to come back because there was nothing for CM Punk. Yeah, there was nothing for CM Punk to do. He could have main evented WrestleMania. He could have, I don't know. They put Undertaker and CM Punk. There's talks that they should have done undefeated champion versus undefeated streak. I personally would not like that because Undertaker was not at the age where he could have a lengthy WWE championship run, and I highly doubt that they would take the belt off of. There's no way that CM Punk was gonna stay champion for that long. There's talks of maybe doing The Rock and The Undertaker, which this point it was way too late. Yeah, I personally would have retired The Undertaker around this point. Maybe I could have done Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, but knowing that it was Triple H and Brock Lesnar, it made sense in storyline wise. Really, I would have just retired The Undertaker. I don't think he should have come back here. Even Undertaker admits, like, I should have retired at 20-0. So yeah, I would have just done that. But with that said, Undertaker and CM Punk, thank God this match happened because this show was garble. Even if The Undertaker wasn't on this show would have failed. WrestleMania 29, I hate WrestleMania 29, I really do. There's nothing to like about this show. It's fucking lame. I don't like it. Ew. WrestleMania 20, I thought this was the first legit bad match from The Undertaker since 15. I liked the Mark Henry match. I didn't completely hate Big Show and A-Train versus Undertaker, but I didn't want that match. This was like the legit, like one of those matches where it's like, God damn it. Undertaker really should have retired at 20-0. Brock Lesnar beat him. I thought that was the right call. That way now we have more interesting things. And I think Brock Lesnar, we talk about maybe it should have been John Cena, maybe it should have been Bray Wyatt, maybe it should have been Daniel Bryan, The Shield, anybody else but Brock Lesnar. I highly disagree with that. It really should have been the Brock Lesnar. I think Brock Lesnar was the only person who legitimately could have beat him. Yes, he's a part-timer, but that's the whole point. Someone you completely hate should have ended the streak. It was either that or John Cena. I I thought John Cena and Bray Wyatt had a great match. I thought it was a great feud. And even though Bray Wyatt lost, it kind of worked out in the long run, knowing that what happens at WrestleMania 36. So, overall, I can't complain. WrestleMania 31, I can complain. Undertaker, Bray Wyatt. I actually don't think this is a bad match. I think this is an okay match. But I would have had Undertaker take a break at this WrestleMania. Maybe do Triple H and Sting still. There's talk that they should have done Undertaker and Sting here. Again, I don't think we should have done that. I would have had Sting win and then do Taker and Sting at WrestleMania 32. Undertaker and Bray Wyatt, it didn't need to happen. If they needed something for Bray Wyatt to do, if they needed something for Undertaker, if they desperately needed the Undertaker to show up, then fine. But I don't know. The match itself wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. If that makes sense. It was just, if it was a squash match, maybe I would have liked it a little bit more. I'm being honest. If Taker squashed Bray Wyatt, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. WrestleMania 32, Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in a Hell in a Cell match. This match makes no fucking sense. While this was the most anticipated match of WrestleMania 32, this is fucking honesty at its best. No one cared about the entire show minus this match and to an extent Brock and Dean. Yeah, if anything, I was more excited for Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose just because it was a solid little match and something new for Brock Lesnar to do and something new for Dean Ambrose to do. Unfortunately, the match sucked, which I couldn't predict that, but that was the match I was excited for the most. Why was I not excited for Undertaker and Shane McMahon? Because it made no sense. It really should have been Triple H and Shane McMahon because the storyline was if Shane wins, he takes control over Monday Night Raw or the WWE in general. Roman Reigns fighting Triple H, it's so cheap, it's so lame. Roman Reigns is not CM Punk. If anything, maybe they should have done Roman and Taker at this WrestleMania WWE Championship. And Taker and Roman Reigns retires the Undertaker or something to that extent. John Cena could have found a way to come back from retirement. Sting could have found a way back from retirement. Something. I just think that Undertaker and Shane McMahon was a little random. Yes, it had the iconic Shane falling from the cell spot, but this was just random. I don't hate the match. I think it's kind of slow. It really is because they're both really old dudes. So, but yeah, I would have just given Shane McMahon and Triple H the match, and then have Undertaker face Roman Reigns, Sting, or John Cena. One of those three. But yeah, Shane made no sense. Hell, they could have brought back Shawn Michaels back from retirement just for one more match. Undertaker picks his final opponent. He says that he wants to go out with one of his best matches. We could do Shawn Michaels and Taker in the main event. I would have been sold with that one. And then, yeah, I would have been sold if they did that too. But yeah, Shane, it was just too random. WrestleMania 33, Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. The match that should have really retired The Undertaker. I mentioned how this got people talking in school. This got everybody talking about The Undertaker actually retiring, but he never did, unfortunately. Yeah, and hell, he didn't even come back as the American Badass. But I'm gonna be real. If Roman Reigns was gonna turn heel, then yeah, this is the right call. People said it should have been Finn Balor. I'm gonna be honest. In the long run, no. I think Taker and Finn Balor would have been a good match, a good story, but no, that wasn't right. They were gonna do Undertaker and John Cena. They were gonna do Undertaker and AJ Styles, which would have been much better opponents, honestly. But Roman Reigns made sense, just for the sense that he could have turned heel. Yeah, that's the only one I could think of that would have worked. And then I would have done Styles and Cena for the WWE Championship. Orton and Wyatt could be a non-title match. That's just random potato nonsense, whatever the hell you want to call it. But yeah, Roman Reigns was honestly the right call. I couldn't think of anybody else it could have been, realistically. Um, yeah, so yeah, AJ, Roman, right choice. The match itself, it's what it is. WrestleMania 34, Undertaker comes back to squash John Cena. This was fucking great. I enjoyed this a lot. I love how Elias came back and did the whole pretend that he was gonna be the Undertaker. That was fucking genius. Um, I really would have brought back Undertaker as the American Badass and then continue this on until he officially retired. Because this would have been something new for the Undertaker if he was gonna stick around for a much lengthier run. I would have brought back. I would have done what the Undertaker is right now and squash Cena. But the fact that he comes back at the Deadman, fine. It's okay. I didn't hate it. But this one definitely should have been the retirement for Undertaker. He ends up bringing back Shawn Michaels in a horrible match. With Kane and Triple H involved, they brought back. He had a match with Rusev in a casket match that it was gonna be Taker and Jericho, which would have been better, but Jericho went to New Japan. Yeah, this was the beginning of a hiatus for Undertaker having shit matches, so much so that he missed WrestleMania 35, which thankfully, because there was nothing for Undertaker to do at WrestleMania 35. Yeah, there really was nothing for him at WrestleMania 35. He could have been under Kurt Angle's last match, maybe, but I feel like people got tired of that. Because even Kurt Angle was getting old and still just could have been another bad match for The Undertaker. So yes, I'm happy that Undertaker took a break from WrestleMania 35 and until he found something legit for him, which was WrestleMania 36, his hopefully retired match. Undertaker AJ Styles Boneyard match, a cinematic spectacular match. The best way they could have ended Undertaker facing the best wrestler in WWE right now, which is debatable, but it really isn't because it's AJ Styles. So I think this is the best way that they could have ended Undertaker's career at WrestleMania in a Boneyard match, especially with the pandemic that's going on. This was just genius of making it in a cinematic place in a graveyard. So great way to end the Undertaker streak. And this is honestly Undertaker's best match. I would even put it up there with one of the best. As far as his best match, I decided to do a ranking. I won't do it right here, because I can't think about it. Maybe in the description by the time this video is up, I will put a ranking of how I would rank the Undertaker matches. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Undertaker matches. I believe he's 23-2. He's only lost to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, which come on, him losing to Roman Reigns. Again, if he didn't turn heel, then yeah, he should have won. It really should have been Undertaker beating Reigns, and then Reigns tries to redeem himself, something. But yeah, I think Brock Lesnar should have been the only one to legitimately beat him. Either that or John Cena or Sting. Or Shawn Michaels if they were going to do a streak versus career. Overall, Undertaker defined WrestleMania. He was the legit Mr. WrestleMania from a streak standpoint, from just bringing matches, putting over. Even though he beat the young talent, he made them stars. People talk about Giant Gonzalez. People talk about King Kong Bundy. People talk about Mark Henry. People talk about these guys, even though they lost to the Undertaker. A-Train. That's another one people talk about. Big Show. Yeah. So, if you fight the Undertaker at WrestleMania, it's a big fucking deal. So, that's my take on it. I'll end it here. I'm tired. It's midnight. Anyways, it's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. For the next Day of Taker, I hope I'm not lying, but I do. While I am gonna review Undertaker: The Last Ride, that's definitely gonna be the last one I'm gonna do. Undertaker: The Last Ride review. I want to do a what if. As far as what if, I'll leave that to you guys. What if Undertaker blank? You guys could put down below what you guys want to do of what if Undertaker. I have a couple of requests from the past, like what if Undertaker didn't end the streak? What if Undertaker didn't tore squats? What if Undertaker lost the streak earlier? Whatever you guys want. The one that catches my attention, the one that I want to do, I'll do it, and I'll even give you a shout out on the next what if, or on the next video. Anyways, it's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and rest in peace.